My hands gripped the steering wheel of my old Honda, knuckles white with nerves. 3 years with Madison Reyes, and tonight was our anniversary. I'd saved for weeks to afford this dinner reservation. The engine sputtered as I pulled up to Madison's apartment building. Embarrassing, but reliable. That's how I saw my car. That's not how Madison saw it. Madison walked out in a shimmering red dress, phone in hand, laughing at something on the screen. She looked up, spotted my car, and her smile faltered. "You're picking me up in this?" Madison asked, stopping mid-stride. "Happy anniversary," I said, forcing a grin. "Get in. The reservation's at 7. Madison's friends, Chloe and Priya, stood nearby, clearly waiting for their own ride. They exchanged a look I didn't like. "Madison, isn't that the car you complained about last week?" Chloe asked, smirking. Madison's cheeks flushed. "Just get in the car," I muttered, opening the passenger door for her. Madison slid in, but her irritation hadn't faded. "Ethan, seriously, when are you getting a real car? This thing rattles every time you hit 30 miles an hour." "I'm saving up," I said quietly. "Things are in progress." "In progress for 3 years now," Madison snapped. "My friends think I'm dating someone who can't even afford a decent vehicle." I kept my eyes on the road, swallowing the sting of her words. If only Madison knew what I'd been building behind the scenes. But I wasn't ready to share it yet. Not until the funding was locked in. "Can we just enjoy tonight?" I asked. "It's our anniversary." Madison scoffed. "Fine, but this dinner better be good, because this ride definitely isn't." We arrived at the restaurant, a modest but cozy Italian place I'd chosen carefully. As we walked in, Madison's phone buzzed. She glanced down, smiling at whatever message appeared, then quickly tucked it away. "Who was that?" I asked. "No one," Madison said too quickly. "Just work stuff." We sat down, and the waiter approached with menus. Madison barely looked at hers, scrolling through her phone instead. "Madison, can we talk?" "Like really talk?" I asked. "I feel like we've been drifting." Madison looked up, annoyance flashing across her face. "Drifting?" "Ethan, I work in marketing. I'm around people who drive luxury cars, wear designer clothes, go on ski trips. And here I am, showing up to dinner in a car that sounds like it's dying." "The car doesn't define who I am," I said, my voice steady despite the ache building in my chest. "Doesn't it, though?" Madison shot back. "You've been at that same job for 2 years. No promotion, no raise, nothing. Meanwhile, Derek just got a huge bonus and bought himself a Mercedes." My jaw tightened at the mention of Derek Sanders, Madison's co-worker who'd been popping up in her conversations more and more lately. "Derek again," I said flatly. "You talk about him a lot." "He's just successful," Madison said, avoiding my eyes. "Unlike some people who are content being average." The word hit harder than she probably intended. Average? Is that all she saw when she looked at me? "I'm not average," I said quietly. "I'm working on something big. Something I can't talk about yet, but it's real, Madison. It's going to change everything." Madison laughed. Not a kind laugh, but one dripping with disbelief. "Change everything? Ethan, you drive a car that's older than some of my nieces. What exactly are you working on that's going to change everything?" I opened my mouth to respond, but stopped myself. Telling her now, mid-argument, felt wrong. If the funding fell through, I'd look like an even bigger fool. "You'll see," I said instead. "Just trust me." "Trust you," Madison repeated, shaking her head. "I've been trusting you for 3 years, waiting for you to become something more." "I'm tired of waiting, Ethan." The waiter returned, sensing the tension, and quickly took our orders before retreating. Silence stretched between us, heavy and uncomfortable. "Can we just enjoy the rest of dinner?" I finally asked. "Please." Madison sighed, finally setting her phone down. "Fine, but we need to talk about this, about us soon." I nodded, though inside my chest tightened with worry. Something had shifted between us, and I couldn't shake the feeling that Madison's patience was running out faster than I could keep up. As dinner continued, Madison's tone softened slightly, but the earlier words echoed in my mind. Cheap, average, going nowhere. Each label stung, but I refused to let it break me. Driving Madison home later that night, my old Honda rattled along familiar streets, the silence between us louder than any argument. Madison stared out the window, seemingly lost in thought, perhaps thinking of Derek's shiny new Mercedes, or perhaps regretting her harsh words. I couldn't tell anymore. When I dropped Madison off, she barely said goodbye, disappearing quickly into her building without a backward glance. I sat there for a moment, staring at the dashboard, feeling the weight of her words settle deep inside me. "I'll show you," I whispered to myself, determination hardening in my chest. "One day, you'll see exactly what I'm capable of." Little did I know, that day was closer than I thought. 2 weeks after our anniversary dinner, Madison's texts grew shorter. Her calls, less frequent. I told myself it was just stress from work, but deep down I knew something had changed. I stopped by Madison's apartment unannounced one evening, hoping to surprise her. Her door was slightly open, and I heard her voice from the hallway, laughing with Chloe. "Derek took me to that new rooftop bar downtown," Madison said. "You should have seen his Mercedes, Chloe. Leather seats, that new car smell, completely different experience than Ethan's junky Honda." My stomach dropped. I stood frozen outside the door, listening. "Sounds like Derek's really stepping up," Chloe replied. "What does he even do again?" "Something in finance," Madison said. "He mentioned a huge bonus coming up. He's already talking about upgrading to a BMW next year." "And Ethan?" Chloe asked. Madison sighed dramatically. "Ethan's still driving that same rust bucket, still working the same dead-end job. I don't know how much longer I can pretend everything's fine." I couldn't take it anymore. I knocked on the door, and both women turned, startled. "Ethan," Madison said, surprise flashing across her face. "I didn't know you were coming by." "Clearly," I said, my voice tighter than I intended. "Dead-end job? Rust bucket? Is that really how you see me?" Madison's cheeks reddened. "Ethan, I didn't mean—" "You didn't mean for me to hear it," I interrupted. "But you meant every word." Chloe shifted uncomfortably. "I should go," she muttered, grabbing her purse and slipping past me out the door. Madison crossed her arms. "Fine, you heard me complaining. But can you blame me? Derek's got his life together. Steady bonuses, nice car, actual ambition." "Ambition," I repeated, anger simmering beneath my calm exterior. "You don't even know what I'm working on." "Because you won't tell me." Madison shot back. "I'm supposed to just trust some vague promise while Derek's out there living an actual successful life." I wanted to scream the truth, that within weeks, my startup could be worth millions, that I was on the verge of everything Madison claimed to want. But something held me back. Maybe pride, maybe fear she'd only love the money, not me. "I need time," I said instead. "Just a little more time." "Time for what, Ethan?" Madison's voice cracked with frustration. "I'm tired of waiting on hope. I need something real." I left without another word, my chest tight with unspoken truths. Driving home, Madison's words echoed relentlessly in my mind. Rust bucket, dead-end job. Was that truly all she saw? That weekend, I visited my sister Grace, needing someone who understood me without judgment. "You look terrible," Grace said, opening her apartment door. "Rough week." "You could say that," I muttered, stepping inside. Grace poured 2 cups of coffee, setting one in front of me at her kitchen table. "Talk to me." I explained everything. The overheard conversation, Madison's comparisons to Derek, the constant pressure to prove myself through material things. Grace listened quietly, her expression growing serious. "Ethan, I've never liked how Madison treats you. She's always been more concerned with appearances than substance." "She wasn't always like this," I said, defending her out of habit. "Wasn't she?" Grace challenged gently. "Think back, Ethan. Has she ever really supported your ideas, your ambitions, without needing proof first?" I hesitated, realizing Grace's words held painful truth. Madison had always needed validation, evidence of success before offering support or encouragement. "She's under pressure too," I said weakly. "Her job, her friends, they all live these flashy lifestyles." "That's not an excuse for making you feel small," Grace said firmly. "Ethan, you're brilliant, hardworking, and genuinely kind. Madison should value that, regardless of what car you drive." Her words settled deep within me, an uncomfortable truth I wasn't ready to fully accept. I know you're building something incredible, Grace continued. Don't let Madison's insecurities convince you that you're not enough. That night, driving home for Grace's, my phone buzzed with an email notification. My hands trembled slightly as I read the subject line, "Critical milestone achieved. Ready for final investment review." I pulled over immediately, heart pounding as I opened the message. Weeks of relentless coding, late nights, and countless sacrifices had finally paid off. My startup had passed its most crucial technical milestone yet, positioning us perfectly for the final investment round. Excitement surged through me, quickly followed by hesitation. Should I tell Madison? Share this incredible news, finally proving my worth? But something inside me resisted. If Madison only valued me because of money or success, did her support even mean anything? I decided to keep quiet, at least for now. Instead, I wanted her to value me for who I truly was, not just for what I could offer materially. Driving home that night, alone with my thoughts, I felt a strange mixture of pride and heartache. My hard work was finally being recognized professionally, yet within my personal life, everything seemed to be quietly falling apart. I glanced briefly toward Derek's rented Mercedes as I passed a familiar parking lot, wondering how long his flashy image could last before reality caught up with him. Little did I know, reality was closer than any of us anticipated. I decided to surprise Madison with lunch, hoping to repair the growing distance between us. I drove to the small cafe near her office, the same place we used to visit during happier times. Walking up to the entrance, I spotted Madison through the window, sitting across from someone. My steps slowed when I recognized Derek Sanders, his arm casually draped over the back of her chair. I stayed near the doorway, hidden partially behind a display of pastries, straining to hear their conversation. "So Ethan still drives that same broken-down Honda?" Derek asked, smirking. Madison laughed, the sound cutting through me like glass. "Oh my God, yes. It's honestly embarrassing. Last week it stalled at a red light, and I had to sit there while people stared." "Poor guy," Derek said, though his tone held no sympathy. "Some men just don't know how to level up." "Tell me about it," Madison said, shaking her head. "I keep telling him he needs ambition, but he just says, 'Trust me,' like that's supposed to fix everything." Derek chuckled. "Trust doesn't pay bills, babe." "Babe." My chest tightened at the word, at how easily it rolled off his tongue, how naturally Madison leaned into him. "Exactly," Madison said. "I need someone who can actually provide a lifestyle, you know? Nice dinners, vacations, security. Not empty promises." I couldn't stay hidden any longer. I stepped forward, my voice shaking with barely controlled anger. "Empty promises?" Madison's eyes widened, color draining from her face. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" "I came to surprise you," I said, my voice flat. "Guess I'm the one who got surprised instead." Derek shifted uncomfortably, but said nothing, watching the scene unfold with a smug detachment that made my blood boil. "Ethan, this isn't what it looks like," Madison started. "Isn't it?" I cut her off. "You just told Derek I'm broke, embarrassing, and unambitious. Sounds pretty clear to me." Madison's expression hardened, embarrassment shifting quickly into defensive anger. "Fine, you want honesty?" "Yes, I'm tired, Ethan. Tired of waiting for you to become something. Derek already has everything figured out." "Everything figured out," I repeated bitterly. "A rented Mercedes and empty promises about bonuses that never seemed to materialize." Derek's smug expression faltered slightly, but Madison didn't notice, too focused on delivering her verdict. "At least Derek shows me what he's capable of," Madison snapped. "You just keep saying, 'Trust me,' but where's the proof, Ethan? I need a man who can actually provide a real lifestyle, not just promises." "So that's it?" I asked quietly, hurt bleeding into every word. 3 years, and this is how it ends? In some cafe, in front of a guy who can't even afford his own car. Madison's cheeks flushed with anger and embarrassment. "We're done, Ethan. I can't keep waiting around for someone who refuses to grow up." The words hit harder than any physical blow could have. I stood there, staring at the woman I'd loved for 3 years, watching her choose humiliation over honesty, appearances over substance. "Fine," I said finally, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. I hope Derek's rental car brings you all the happiness you're looking for. I turned and walked out, ignoring Madison's voice calling after me, ignoring the stares of nearby customers who'd clearly overheard everything. Driving home, silence consumed me. No music, no phone calls, just the hollow ache of humiliation and heartbreak. Every red light felt like an eternity. Every street corner a painful reminder of memories now tainted by betrayal. By the time I reached my apartment, exhaustion and grief had fully settled in. I collapsed onto my couch, staring blankly at the ceiling, replaying Madison's words over and over. A man who can provide a lifestyle, was that truly all she ever wanted from me? My phone buzzed unexpectedly, pulling me from my spiraling thoughts. I glanced at the screen, Mr. Whitfield. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something made me answer. Hello, Ethan. Mr. Whitfield's voice boomed excitedly through the phone. I have incredible news. I sat up slightly, wiping my face, trying to steady my voice. What's going on? The investment committee finalized everything today, Whitfield said, practically shouting with excitement. We got the funding, Ethan. $40 million. We're officially backed. I sat frozen, stunned into silence, barely able to process the magnitude of his words. Ethan, are you there? Whitfield asked. Yeah. I finally managed, my voice cracking slightly. 40 million? 40 million, Whitfield confirmed. This is it, Ethan. Everything we've worked for, it's finally happening. I should have felt overwhelming joy, pure excitement at achieving something I'd dreamed of for years. Instead, all I felt was a bitter, ironic ache deep within my chest. That's incredible, I said quietly, forcing enthusiasm into my voice. Thank you, Mr. Whitfield. We'll celebrate properly soon, Whitfield said. You deserve this, Ethan. Your hard work finally paid off. After hanging up, I sat silently in my dim apartment, the weight of the day's events crashing over me all at once. My greatest professional triumph had arrived at the exact moment my personal life shattered completely. I glanced down at my phone, staring blankly at Whitfield's contact information, then back up at the ceiling, absorbing this powerful, painful irony. Madison had wanted proof, wanted someone capable of offering a real lifestyle, and now, ironically, I finally had exactly what she demanded. But she wouldn't be there to see it. I closed my eyes, exhaustion overtaking me, wondering quietly what the future now held. For Madison, for Derek, and especially for me. 2 weeks after the breakup, I threw myself into work, arriving before sunrise and leaving long after sunset. Building something meaningful felt like the only cure for the ache Madison had left behind. My phone buzzed one afternoon while I reviewed investor documents. An unfamiliar number flashed on the screen. Ethan? Ethan Cole, a familiar voice asked when I answered. Bella, I said, surprised. Bella Turner, is that you? It's been way too long, Bella said, warmth evident in her tone. I heard through mutual friends that you're launching something big. Coffee sometime? Catch up. I hesitated only briefly before agreeing. Bella and I had been close in college, though we drifted apart after graduation. Her voice, genuine and familiar, felt like a welcome contrast to recent chaos. We met at a small coffee shop downtown, and the moment I saw her smile, I felt an unexpected ease settle over me. You look tired, Bella said, studying me carefully as we sat down. Rough few weeks. You could say that, I admitted, managing a small laugh. Breakup, startup pressure, the usual mess. Madison, Bella asked gently. I nodded. She left me for someone flashier. Guy with a fancy rented car and a mountain of empty promises. Bella's expression softened with genuine sympathy, not pity. I'm sorry, Ethan. You deserve someone who values you for who you are, not what you can buy. Yeah, well, apparently that's not enough anymore, I said, staring into my coffee cup. It's enough for the right person, Bella said firmly. Madison never really saw you, Ethan. Not the way I remember you, dedicated, kind, brilliant even back in college. Her words settled into me differently than Madison's ever had, warm rather than demanding, encouraging rather than critical. Tell me about this startup, Bella said, changing the subject with a smile. I heard whispers at something big. I hesitated, then decided to share details I'd kept hidden from Madison for months. We're launching an AI-driven logistics platform. Just secured $40 million in funding. Bella's eyes widened with genuine excitement. Ethan, that's incredible. Why do you seem so hesitant to celebrate? I don't know, I admitted. Feels strange, celebrating success alone after everything that's happened. You're not alone, Bella said gently. I'm here, genuinely happy for you. No strings attached. Her simple honesty struck deeply, reminding me what real support felt like. Support without conditions, without comparisons to flashy cars or empty promises. Over the following weeks, Bella and I reconnected regularly, her friendship becoming a steady source of comfort as my company prepared for its official launch. The morning of the launch, my phone rang nonstop, notifications flooding in from tech blogs, investors, and news outlets. My hands trembled slightly as I read headline after headline. Local startup secures massive funding, set to disrupt logistics industry. Mr. Whitfield called excitedly. Ethan, we're all over the news. This is exactly the exposure we needed. I can't believe it's actually happening, I said, staring at my phone screen in disbelief. Believe it, Whitfield said proudly. You've earned every bit of this success. Later that day, Grace called, her voice buzzing with excitement. Ethan, I just saw the news. You're famous now. I laughed, genuine happiness bubbling up for the first time in weeks. Hardly famous, Grace. Just really relieved. You should be proud, Grace said. You built this from nothing, all on your own. As the media attention grew, unexpected news reached me through mutual friends. Derek's carefully constructed image had begun unraveling. Did you hear about Derek? Grace asked during our call, clearly eager to share. What happened? I asked, genuinely curious despite myself. Turns out that Mercedes was rented the whole time, Grace said. He's actually drowning in debt. Lost his job last week for falsifying expense reports. I sat quietly for a moment, processing this information. Part of me wanted to feel vindicated, triumphant even, but instead, I only felt a strange sense of clarity. Wow, I said finally. Guess appearances really can be deceiving. Madison must be devastated, Grace added. She built her entire relationship with him around lies. I didn't respond immediately. My emotions caught somewhere between quiet satisfaction and genuine indifference. Madison's decisions were her own to face, her own consequences to bear. That evening, sitting with Bella at a quiet cafe, I shared the unexpected news about Derek's downfall. How do you feel about that? Bella asked carefully. Honestly, I said slowly, I don't feel the anger I expected. Just relief, I guess. Relief that I'm no longer part of that mess. That's growth, Ethan, Bella said, smiling warmly. You're not seeking revenge, just genuine peace. Peace sounds pretty good right now, I admitted, returning her smile. As my company's success continued gaining momentum, I found myself changing, not just professionally, but emotionally. I no longer needed validation from Madison, no longer craved proof that I was enough. Sitting quietly with Bella that night, watching the city lights flicker outside the cafe window, I realized my transformation had truly begun, not from bitterness or revenge, but genuine self-discovery and quiet strength. For the first time in months, the future ahead didn't feel uncertain or painful. It felt finally like mine to shape. My phone buzzed with a text message I hadn't expected to see. Madison's name flashed across the screen, and I stared at it for a long moment before opening it. Asterisk, Ethan, can we talk? I miss you. I made a huge mistake. Asterisk. I set the phone down, unsure how to feel. Weeks had passed since our breakup, since I'd built something real out of the wreckage she'd left behind. Grace called that evening, her voice carrying a mix of amusement and disbelief. Did Madison seriously text you? Yeah, I said, still processing it. Says she misses me, that she made a mistake. Derek dumped her, Grace said flatly. Once his lies fell apart completely, he vanished. She's been posting sad quotes all over social media. Guess reality caught up with both of them, I said quietly. Are you going to respond? Grace asked. I don't know yet, I admitted. Part of me wants closure. Another part just wants to move forward. The following week, I flew out for a business trip, closing a major partnership deal that would expand our company internationally. Mr. Whitfield greeted me at the airport, grinning ear to ear. Ready to make history, Ethan? Whitfield asked as we walked toward my new private jet. Still feels surreal, I admitted, glancing at the sleek aircraft waiting on the tarmac. As we approached, I noticed a familiar figure standing near the airport's viewing area, watching intently. My steps faltered when I recognized Madison, her expression frozen in shock. Ethan, Madison called out, disbelief evident in her voice. I paused, glancing toward Whitfield, who nodded subtly, giving me space to handle the unexpected encounter. Madison, I said, calm and composed despite the shock evident on her face. Didn't expect to see you here. Is it your private jet? Madison asked, her voice barely above a whisper. It is, I confirmed simply, watching her expression shift from disbelief to something like regret. I don't understand, Madison said, shaking her head. You were driving that old Honda just months ago. A lot's changed, I said evenly. My company launched successfully. We secured major funding. Madison's eyes welled with tears, her voice trembling slightly. Ethan, I made such a huge mistake. I should never have said those things, never have left you for Derek. I finished, my tone neutral rather than accusatory. Madison nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. He lied about everything. The car, the bonuses, his job, all of it was fake. I heard, I said simply, feeling no satisfaction in her pain, only quiet clarity. Ethan, please, Madison said, stepping closer. Can we talk? Really talk? I know I hurt you, but I still care about you. I studied her carefully, remembering vividly the humiliation she'd caused, the cruel words spoken carelessly in front of friends and strangers alike. Madison, I said gently but firmly, you didn't just hurt me. You show me exactly who you were when things weren't easy. I know, Madison said, her voice breaking. I was wrong, so wrong. Please, give me another chance. I glanced briefly at my jet, symbolic now of everything I'd built without her support, without her belief in me. You wanted someone who could provide a lifestyle, I said quietly. Someone who could give you proof, security, validation. Ethan, please don't. I'm not angry anymore, Madison. I interrupted gently. But I can't go back to someone who valued appearances over genuine connection. Madison's tears intensified, her voice cracking with desperation. Ethan, I've changed. I promise. I've realized what truly matters. Have you? I asked, genuinely curious rather than accusatory. Or do you just miss what I can offer now? Madison hesitated, unable to meet my eyes, unable to answer honestly. That's what I thought. I said softly, no bitterness in my voice, only quiet resolution. Ethan, please, Madison begged one final time. I need you. No, I said gently but firmly. You need what I represent now. Security, validation, proof of success. But you don't need me, Madison. Not really. Madison stood silently, tears streaming freely, unable to argue against my words. Whitfield gently touched my shoulder, signaling it was time aboard. I nodded, glancing one final time at Madison's devastated expression. I hope you find genuine happiness someday. Madison, I said sincerely. But it won't be with me. Turning away, I walked calmly toward my jet, leaving Madison standing alone, her tears mixing with the harsh reality of consequences she'd created herself. Boarding the aircraft, I glanced back briefly, watching Madison's small figure become smaller and smaller as we prepared for takeoff. Whitfield sat beside me, offering a reassuring smile. You handled that with real grace, Ethan. I didn't feel angry, I said honestly. Just relieved, I guess. Relieved it's finally over. Closure's a powerful thing, Whitfield said, nodding thoughtfully. As the jet lifted off, leaving the airport and Madison's tearful image behind, I felt genuine peace settle within me, replacing months of hurt and uncertainty. I glanced out the window, watching the city fade into clouds below, symbolizing my own transformation, stronger, wiser, and finally free from painful expectations that had once defined my worth. For the first time in months, my future felt entirely my own, unclouded by Madison's judgments or society's expectations. Whitfield's voice broke through my thoughts. "Ready for the next chapter, Ethan?" I smiled, genuine excitement building within me. More than ready. A month after the airport encounter, Madison reached out one final time, asking to meet in person. I agreed, mostly for my own closure rather than any lingering hope of reconciliation. We met at the same cafe where everything had fallen apart. Madison's choice, though I didn't ask why. She was already seated when I arrived, looking smaller somehow, the confidence I remembered replaced by something fragile. "Thank you for coming," Madison said quietly as I sat down across from her. "You said it was important," I replied evenly. Madison twisted her hands together, struggling to find words. "I've had a lot of time to think, Ethan, about everything I said, everything I did." "Okay," I said, waiting. "I was cruel," Madison said, her voice breaking. "I humiliated you, compared you to Derek, made you feel like you weren't enough. And the whole time, you were building something incredible, and I couldn't even see it." "You weren't looking for substance, Madison," I said calmly. "You were looking for proof for something you could show off." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "I know. I hate that about myself now. Derek turned out to be nothing but lies, and I lost the one person who actually cared about me." "Madison, please," she interrupted. "Just let me finish. I need to say this." I nodded, allowing her the space. "I was so obsessed with appearances, with what other people thought, that I threw away someone genuine," Madison continued, her voice trembling. "I'm sorry, Ethan. Truly, deeply sorry." I studied her for a long moment, feeling none of the anger I once carried, only a quiet, settled clarity. "I appreciate you saying that," I said honestly, "but I need you to understand something." Madison looked up, vulnerability written across her face. "What?" "Losing you didn't break me," I said gently. "It pushed me. Every cruel word, every comparison to Derek, it forced me to prove something to myself, not to you. I know I don't deserve it. But is there any chance we could—" "No," I said softly but firmly, cutting her off before hope could form. "Not because I'm angry, Madison. Because I finally understand my own worth." "I understand," Madison whispered, more tears falling. "You taught me something important," I continued. "That real growth doesn't come from proving people wrong. It comes from refusing to let their judgment define you." Madison nodded slowly, wiping her tears. "You've changed, Ethan. Genuinely changed." "I have," I agreed. "And honestly, I owe some of that transformation to the pain you caused. Not because it was right, but because it forced me to find my own strength. Will you ever forgive me?" Madison asked quietly. "I already have," I said, surprising even myself with the truth in those words. Holding on to anger wouldn't change anything. But moving forward, that's something only I can control. Madison offered a small, sad smile. "You deserve happiness, Ethan. Real happiness." "I've found it," I said simply, thinking of Bella's genuine warmth, so different from the conditional affection Madison once offered. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of closure settling comfortably between us. "Thank you for talking with me," Madison finally said. "For giving me this moment, even though I don't deserve it." "I hope you find what you're truly looking for, Madison," I said sincerely. "But it won't be through appearances or validation from someone else." Madison nodded, understanding fully for the first time. "Goodbye, Ethan." "Goodbye, Madison," I replied, standing calmly and walking away without a trace of bitterness, only quiet resolution. Outside, Bella waited by my car, her warm smile immediately easing any residual tension from the conversation. "How'd it go?" Bella asked gently. "Better than I expected," I admitted. She apologized. "Genuinely, I think." "How do you feel?" Bella asked, studying me carefully. "Free," I said, surprised by how true the word felt. Like I finally let go of something I didn't realize I was still holding on to. Bella smiled warmly, slipping her hand into mine. That's real growth, Ethan. Ready for our trip? I asked, glancing toward the airport where my jet waited. Absolutely, Bella said, her genuine excitement contrasting sharply with Madison's conditional affection. We drove to the airport together, the silence between us comfortable, natural, nothing like the tense stillness Madison and I once shared. Boarding my private jet, Bella looked around, genuinely impressed, but her excitement wasn't about wealth or status. It was about sharing this moment authentically with me. You built all of this yourself, Bella said, settling into her seat beside me. That's incredible, Ethan. We built it together, I corrected gently, squeezing her hand. You've supported me through everything without asking for proof or validation. Bella smiled softly. That's what real relationships are about. As the jet lifted off, leaving behind the city, Madison, and every painful memory associated with feeling inadequate, I finally understood the true nature of karma and growth. Madison's betrayal hadn't broken me. It had revealed my own strength, my own worth, independent of anyone else's judgment. Sitting beside Bella, watching the clouds drift past the window, I realized genuine happiness wasn't about proving people wrong or achieving material success. It was about authentic connection, self-respect, and quietly becoming exactly who I was always meant to be.